Affairs don't begin in the bedroom. They begin in childhood. In the part of you that decided she needed to bury her truth just to be loved. The part that's now screaming to be seen. I'm Alex Croxford, and this is the Deeper Love podcast, where we name the shame, face the guilt, and help you find your way back to yourself. So let's begin. The craziest thing about shame is that it makes you think that if you hide more, if you shrink yourself, if you speak with even more cruelty to yourself, then you will make everything better. You'll finally make yourself trustworthy. You'll finally be able to punish yourself enough to take away what has happened and for you to finally heal. But this, honestly, couldn't be further away from the truth. And granted, it is not as easy as me just telling you to stop the whirring thoughts in your mind, continually telling you what a terrible person you are and how awful you have been and how disgusting you are and how could you ever be loved again. It's hard to stop that noise. I get it. But honestly, it gets us nowhere. All it does is it keeps us looping in the same old story, the one that says we are bad, we are broken, we don't deserve anyone or anything, we deserve to just suffer for the rest of our lives. And the thing about shame, because shame and guilt get confused, right? Shame is the belief, the core belief that there is something wrong with me. I am broken. I am bad. I am rotten at my core. Whereas guilt is I have done something outside of my value set. I have acted in a way that is outside of what I believe to be moral or appropriate or good, in inverted commas. And shame is the hardest emotion to feel. It is at the lowest frequency of all emotions. It is dark, it is bleak, it is grey, and many people end up taking their own lives due to this deep, soul-destroying experience of shame. There's this belief that maybe if they're not here in the world, the world would be better without them. And I'll put my hands up. I had that thought. In the midst of it all, I remember so clearly sitting on the bed of the flat that I was renting. I'd rented an Airbnb for, it was like 6 months whilst me and my ex-husband were trying to repair. And I remember sitting on the bed and just thinking to myself, I think it's easier if I'm not here. Like, really and truly, I've caused so much pain that it would be easier if I just didn't wake up. But having not listened to those thoughts, because I had amazing support around me at the time, and having now held hundreds of women off the back of their affair, I can tell you now that hating yourself isn't going to change anything. It isn't what is going to heal anything. It's not going to heal the situation in your relationship. It's not going to change the situation in your life, in how you feel. In fact, that experience of shame, and I remember again very clearly my coach at the time saying to me, Alex, this shame that you are experiencing right now, it's not just about the affair. And I thought to myself, I don't know what you're talking about. Of course it's about my affair. Of course it's because of the destruction that I've brought to my own life and my then husband's life. What are you talking about? But as we began to go deeper and unpack more and more from the past, peeling back the layers, I realized that this experience of shame in my body was so old. Like, that belief that there was something wrong with me, that I was disgusting, was present in throughout my whole life. And I did things in my life that would often bring shame. I would look back at people that I had chosen to be with or things that I had done on nights out, and I would feel so ashamed of myself. I would think, oh my God, like, I can't believe you've done that. You're disgusting. Like, who even are you? You're gross. And the thing is that I can almost guarantee if you were to look back at your life, that there is a long lasting experience or a deep rooted belief that I am bad, or I do shameful things, or I cringe at the times that I've given men my body when I shouldn't have, or my body is disgusting. I'm ashamed of the way that I look. I need to control the way it looks, or bodily fluids are disgusting. I can't let anybody see anything less than perfect about me. Or perhaps during sex, you want to hide how you sound, or you want to cover up, right? All of this is indicating that you've already got shame within you. You're already carrying heavy shame. And look, we all have shame within us. Like, it's not exclusive to people who have affairs. Shame is very much a part of life. It's part of being a human. It's deeply indoctrinated into religion. Oftentimes, women especially are made to feel like they need to be ashamed of themselves or their desires or their sexuality. But the thing about shame is wherever it has stemmed from, be it our own lives, our own wounds, our own trauma, or conditioning that we grew up through the church or our society that we entered into, or our family that we entered into, it does not go away with more hatred or more self-punishment. And if you were to go back into your childhood, I'd love for you to just explore for a minute what you learnt about loving yourself as a child. What did you learn about self-love? What did you see your caregivers showing you about self-love versus self-hate? What did you experience from your parents in terms of any shame? Were you shamed in front of a class by a teacher at any point? Did you learn that your body was something to be ashamed of? Did you learn that your sexuality was something to hide or to be ashamed of? Were you told that you were a sinner and that you had to prove that you were good to God? Did you get shamed for how intelligent you were, how you spoke, or told you were a bad kid or that you're a bad person? But whatever voice that you have in your head around who you are and about you being bad or not good enough or that you're disgusting, that is something you learnt from your past. And that noise has become so familiar that you didn't even notice it until now, post affair, post one of the most shameful things we can do according to society in 2026. That shame is so loud now that you can't ignore it anymore. It's literally screaming at you from every angle. And I know what it's like to have that inner voice going round and round and round and round and round and round, continuing to shame yourself. It gets to a point where you can't get out of bed. You end up hiding from people, from your friends. There's probably a chance that you haven't told the truth to a lot of your closest people, or perhaps you found yourself in a situation where loads of people know and you're experiencing so much shame because your secret is out. And I also have no doubt that you're allowing yourself, because this is what we do when we believe we deserve something, you're allowing yourself to be caught up in very difficult conversations with your partner over and over again, where there are no boundaries and where you are spiraling into deep, deep shame holes because they're asking you really, really uncomfortable questions. Questions that, quite honestly, they don't need to know the answers to. It is a very, very painful, lonely place to be, shame. And many of us want to run away, or perhaps we disassociate, we get numb, because it's easier than actually having to feel the shame, which is underneath the numbness. But I'm going to invite you into trying something different. Because, as I said, shame doesn't take away shame. Shame on top of shame does not equal zero shame. In fact, it just perpetuates the problem even more and even more and even more. It just makes it worse. So I would like you to imagine that the part of you that had the affair is a 7-year-old girl. And if you know any 7-year-old girls or 6 or 5-year-old girls in your life, then I invite you to bring them into your mind right now so that you have a very clear image or vision of this situation. So this little girl has done something or did something that she shouldn't have done. And what she did has caused consequences. It's called impact. It has created pain. And she is devastated and mortified that she did that. She didn't mean to hurt anyone in the way that she did. She was just acting in the best way that she thought how. And she is now sobbing because she knows what she's done. She's hurt someone she loved. And she is so, so sorry. She's so remorseful. And there's nothing more that she feels that she can say. She just keeps saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. What have I done? What have I done? As the responsible adult in the situation, would you continue to scream at her, tell her how awful she is, tell her she deserves to not be here, tell her that she's never going to be loved again, she doesn't deserve to be loved again, that she's lost the only chance that she had in life of somebody that was going to love her? Or would you hold her in your arms and tell her, yes, there was an impact from her actions. There are people that are hurting, and she is still loved. She is still safe, and she is still wanted. And no one is going to abandon her, because right now she needs support. The last thing she needs is for everyone to tell her how terrible she is and then run away. She needs to know that there is a chance that even though this pain has happened right now, that she gets to live a life of joy again. She gets to live a life where she experiences love and pleasure and freedom. It's just right now we're in the mud. And we're in the part where people are still hurting and life is still rearranging itself. And I am 99.9% reoccurring sure that you would have chosen the one that cared, that picked her up, that mothered her, that nurtured her, who had, yes, strong boundaries about this not happening again, but also forgiveness and compassion. That little girl needs to learn new ways of being. And she needs to learn how to not do this again. She needs to heal from the pain that she's in. And in the process, she doesn't need to be punished for it. Because the truth is that the more you reject the part of you that did this, the tighter that she will grip on. Because contrary to popular belief, the part of you that did this, that acted outside of your moral values, that did something that doesn't seem to make any sense, isn't a hussy, isn't somebody that just needs more discipline. She was a part of you that was trying to keep you alive. Because she felt deep down that you might be dead inside. And all she was doing was trying desperately to find connection with someone or something, because internally and externally, that connection was flatlining. It was at a zero, both in her relationship and with herself. So what I'm saying here is that self-responsibility is really important, right? We have to take responsibility for actions that we took that have impact on other people. There is no bypassing that. And it's about being with what is, without rejecting parts of yourself, without pushing parts of you away, without making parts of you wrong or bad or disgusting. It's about being able to say, you know what? I messed up, but I am going to understand and heal the part of me that led me to act way outside of my value set. I take responsibility for the pain that I have caused, but I'm not going to abandon parts of me to make it right. And this is the moment that you finally start to face yourself, to face your patterns, your wounds, all with love and compassion, rather than seeing yourself as a project to fix. Because I know it might not feel like it right now, but you are perfect in your imperfections. You are perfect in your mess and your messiness. You are perfect in your humanness. And you are definitely not alone. So if this speaks to you, if something in your body just relaxed, even 1% as you listen to this, then I invite you to come and join one of my next softening sessions. They are once a month on a Thursday. It's an opportunity to come into my world, to be able to spend 90 minutes to put down the self-hatred, to come back into your body and to be held without needing to be fixed. So please find the details in the show notes. I'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Deeper Love podcast. If today's episode spoke to you, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you're ready to go deeper, you'll find all the ways to work with me in the show notes. Until next time.